Welcome back to the deep dive. We're going to try a little experiment today, a bit of time travel.
Oh, where are we headed?
Just a couple years into the future. I want you to imagine it's today, January 19th, but the year is 2026.
Okay, I'm with you.
You're standing on a busy street corner, New York, London, Shanghai. Take your pick. Now, what do you hear?
Or, maybe more importantly, what don't you hear?
Exactly. Because for a century, the sound of human progress, of just getting around, was basically a constant series of tiny explosions.
The internal combustion engine, that rumble was the soundtrack of the 20th century.
It really was. But in 2026, and we're seeing this trend already, that roar, it's fading.
It's being replaced by something else. The whine of electric motors, the hum of chemical reactions, just the sound of tires on the road.
And that quiet is so deceptive because it hides this huge conflict that's going on under the surface. We're digging into this amazing piece of journalism today. It's called The Engine Wars: Electrons, Atoms, and the Future of Mobility.
And it makes the point that this isn't some simple story of old versus new.
No, it's not gas versus battery at all. The article frames it as a three-way civil war for the soul of the car.
You've got the battery electric vehicle, the BEV, which is kind of the reigning champ right now.
Then you have the dark horse, the hydrogen fuel cell, the FCEV.
And the third one is the survivor, the one that just won't go away, the hybrid.
And so that's our mission for this deep dive.
Yeah.
To really get under the hood of all three. Because you can't understand the future of transportation if you don't understand the physics, the money, and, the real environmental costs.
And we have to start with the physics. Because unlike marketing or politics, physics doesn't negotiate.
Okay, so let's start with the juggernaut then. We're in 2026. I'm looking at the sales charts in this article, and it seems like the war is already over.
It looks that way on the surface.
Tesla's Model Y is the best-selling car in the world. Chinese EVs are everywhere. I mean, the battery looks like it's already won.
And it dominates the conversation, for sure. But there's a very specific, a very fundamental reason for that.
It's not just the green marketing.
No, it's much deeper. It comes down to something engineers call the thermodynamic argument.
Okay, I love this stuff. Break that down for us. Why is the battery winning the physics war?
It's just brutally efficient. An electric motor is something like 90% efficient.
90%?
Yeah. So 90% of the energy you pull from the battery is actually used to turn the wheels and move you forward.
That's an incredible number for any machine.
It's staggering. Now, compare that to the gas engine we've all been using our whole lives.
The internal combustion engine.
That thing is spectacularly wasteful. It wastes about 70, maybe 75% of the energy in the gasoline you put in it.
Wasted how? Where does it go?
Heat and noise. That's it.
Right.
Think about the heat pouring off your car's hood after a drive, the radiator fan kicking on.
Right.
That's fuel you paid for doing literally nothing but warming up the air around your car.
So if the only goal is to move a one-ton box down the road with the least amount of energy.
The EV is unbeatable. Full stop.
Okay, efficiency champion. But, and this is a huge point in the article, lab efficiency doesn't always equal real-world convenience. So in 2026, is the big problem still range anxiety, that fear of getting stranded?
It's interesting. The data says no. The average EV in 2026 has, 300, 400 miles of range? The hardware is basically solved.
So the anxiety has moved.
It's shifted. It's not range anxiety anymore. Now it's charger anxiety.
The infrastructure problem, the real friction point.
Precisely. And it's creating this weird new class divide. If you own a house, you have a garage, the EV life is a dream.
You plug in at night. You wake up with a full tank every single morning.
It's better than going to a gas station. But what if you don't have that?
Millions of people. Apartment dwellers, people who park on the street in big cities.
Exactly. For them, or for anyone who drives long distances for a living, it's not a dream. It's what the article calls a logistical dance.
You're not just looking for a charger. You're looking for one that actually works.
Is there a line? Is the payment system down? Even with those super fast 350 kilowatt chargers.
The ones that can give you 200 miles in like 15 minutes.
Yeah, even with those, reliability is the Achilles heel. It adds friction to your life that just wasn't there with gas.
And then there's the other side of the coin, the zero emissions claim. True with the tailpipe, but
you have to ask where the battery came from.
The lithium problem. This gets glossed over a lot in the marketing.
It's a critical piece of the puzzle. You need huge amounts of lithium, cobalt, nickel. And we don't get those by drilling a small hole.
No, we get them by strip mining. The article's descriptions of these open pit mines, these massive brine ponds in South America, It's very industrial.
It's a massive physical undertaking, and the scale you would need to replace every car on Earth, it's just mind-boggling.
So the critics argue we're just trading a reliance on Middle Eastern oil for a reliance on, say, Chinese processed minerals.
That's the geopolitical rub right there. We're shifting the problem from the air to the ground, digging up the Earth to save the sky. It's a trade-off. It's not magic.
Okay, so that's the BEV. Super efficient, great to drive. But it's tied to a shaky grid and some very messy mining.
A fair summary.
Which brings us to the rebels. Because a big part of the industry, led by Toyota, looked at all those problems and said, nope, there has to be another way.
The hydrogen faction.
The fuel cell, or FCEV,
Mm-hmm.
the eternal dark horse. But I have to ask why? I mean, are they just being stubborn while the whole world goes electric?
It's easy to see it that way, but there's a real philosophy behind it. Hydrogen promises the holy grail.
Which is,
The EV experience, that clean, quiet drive, but without having to change your behavior at all.
you mean the charging time?
Exactly. With a hydrogen car, you pull into a station, you lock on a nozzle, 5 minutes later, you're done. 400 miles of range.
So for the driver, it feels exactly like going to a gas station.
Identical. No planning your trip around chargers. No waiting at a rest stop for 40 minutes. For a trucker, a taxi driver, that is a game changer.
And Toyota's argument isn't just about convenience, it's about resources, right? This multi-pathway strategy.
This is where it gets really interesting. They make a weight argument. Batteries are heavy.
Really heavy.
To get 300 miles of range, you need a battery that weighs, what, about 1,000 pounds?
That's like carrying a grand piano in your car everywhere you go.
It's a perfect analogy. And Toyota's question is that smart? Is putting a giant battery in a tiny commuter car that only drives 30 miles a day a good use of the world's limited lithium?
They'd say it's a waste.
A total waste of resources and energy just dragging that weight around. Their vision is small city cars, sure, make them electric with small batteries. Or hybrid.
But the big stuff,
Trucks, ships, buses, anything that needs to be light and go far should run on hydrogen.
that makes a ton of sense for trucking. The payload is what matters, not the weight of your fuel tank.
Exactly. And they're even working on hydrogen combustion engines, not fuel cells, piston engines that burn hydrogen.
So you get the sound, the feel of a performance engine.
But the only thing coming out of the tailpipe is water vapor.
That sounds amazing. But, and this is the huge but, if it's so great, why isn't it winning? Why are we still talking about it as a dark horse in 2026?
Because we have to go back to physics.
Okay.
It comes down to what the article calls the efficiency trap. If the battery electric car is a model of elegant simplicity, the hydrogen car is.
Right.
Well, it's a Rube Goldberg machine.
Huh. Okay. Walk me through it. How does the hydrogen actually get to the car?
Right. So hydrogen is everywhere, but it's stuck to other things, usually water. So step 1, you need electricity.
Okay.
Step 2, you use that electricity to split water. That's called electrolysis. Step 3, you have to compress the hydrogen gas you made to 10,000 psi.
That's a huge amount of pressure.
Takes a ton of energy. Step 4, you truck it to a station. Step 5, you bump it into the car. Step 6, the car's fuel cell has to turn it back into electricity.
Wow. Wait, so you're using electricity to make a gas just so you can turn it back into electricity later on?
That's the trap. At every single one of those steps, you lose energy. By the time that power moves the wheels, you might have lost 60% of the energy you started with.
And with a battery, you just put the electricity in the battery.
And you keep 90% of it. It's why hydrogen fuel per mile is just so much more expensive. The physics makes it that way.
It's an economic problem born from a physics problem.
Exactly. And what about the green part? The tailpipe emits water, that's great.
But where did the hydrogen come from?
Right. The dream is green hydrogen,
Yeah.
made with solar power and water. That's the goal.
But the reality.
The reality in 2026 is that 90% of it is made from natural gas. So right now, a hydrogen car is often just a fossil fuel car with a lot of extra inefficient steps.
So we have the BEV, efficient but heavy and grid dependent. We have hydrogen, light and fast, but wildly inefficient and often dirty.
And then there's the third fighter.
The one that was supposed to be a footnote by now,
Yeah.
the hybrid.
And it's having a massive comeback.
The article calls it the bridge technology that refuses to burn down. Why? Why are people in 2026 still buying so many hybrids?
Because they just work. Plain and simple, it's the best of both worlds right now.
You get the electric motor for city driving, the regenerative braking.
So your city mileage is amazing.
Yeah.
But then you have the gas engine for a long road trip, No anxiety.
It solves the infrastructure problem and the range problem in one go.
And it solves the wallet problem. In 2026, a decent EV might still be $50,000. A great hybrid that gets 50 miles per gallon, 30,000.
That 20 grand difference buys a lot of gasoline.
It does. And crucially, you don't need a garage. For anyone in an apartment or in a rural area with a spotty grid, the hybrid is the pragmatic choice. It's the good enough solution that fits the world we actually live in.
It's so interesting. The tech utopians are arguing about atoms versus ions, and meanwhile, everyday people are just buying the thing that's cheaper and easier.
That's the story of technology adoption, isn't it? The ideal solution versus the practical one.
So let's pull back. The big question. Looking past 2026 toward, say, 2035, who wins the engine wars?
You know, the most compelling part of this article is its conclusion. The answer isn't A, B, or C. It's all of the above.
A mosaic future,
Yeah,
not a monoculture.
exactly. The era of one-size-fits-all energy, of gasoline for everything, that's over.
So break that down for me. What does that mosaic look like in 2035?
For most people, for daily driving, city commuting, your sedans and SUVs, probably 80% will be battery electric.
The physics is just too good to ignore for that use case.
Right. But heavy industry, long-haul trucking, container ships, definitely airplanes, that's where hydrogen comes in.
Because batteries are just too heavy.
Way too heavy. You need the energy density of hydrogen for that. So your future gas station might be a hydrogen depot at a truck stop.
And the hybrids, do they finally fade away?
Not for a very long time. They'll be dominant in the developing world, in rural areas. Anywhere the grid is weak, the hybrid will be king. It's the right tool for the right job.
It's a total shift in how we think about our cars.
Mm.
It's not just fill her up, it's what do I actually need to do today?
It is. And can I just connect this back to where we started? With that silence on the street corner,
Yeah.
that silence forces a really important question that the article leaves you with.
What's that?
When you plug in your EV or you fill up with hydrogen, where did that energy actually come from?
Because if it came from a coal-fired power plant,
Have you really solved the problem? Or have you just moved the tailpipe?
you've moved it from your car to a smokestack 100 miles away.
Exactly. The war between engines is fascinating, but the real battle is upstream. It's about how we generate power as a civilization. The car is just the last step in a very long chain.
The silence of the engine just means the noise moved somewhere else. To the mine, to the power plant.
That's the provocative thought. The car is just the plug at the end of a very, very long wire.
Wow. Well, on that note, next time you're walking down the street or even just looking out at your driveway, take a second and just listen. The sound of the world is changing, and now you know a little more about what's happening under the hood.
It's a fascinating future to be driving into.
It sure is. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We'll see you next time.